Thanks to Homer Rabar for that look at that cool art exhibit, a place that I hope to go but won't go, because this is my domain and you are back, and we are taking a look at FIFA 14, and here to tell, with the yearly sports titles, it's challenging to update them and to keep them fresh, and the next generation of consoles brings an exciting new opportunity for developers to bring new features and to take advantage of the new hardware. Here to explain how FIFA 14 is going to do that is lead producer Nick Channon. Nick, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing? It's great to be here.
Doing well. Thank you for your patience, and thank you, folks.
Problem.
And we're going to jump right in. We've got... actually, cue it up for us. We've got a couple things we're going to highlight using the replay system on the Xbox One, or using an Xbox One as well. What are folks going to get to take a look at?
Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to go into the game in a minute, but just to kind of set up what we're doing this year. We're so excited now to be showing our game for the first time on Xbox One.
Absolutely.
And we're building around 3 key pillars using the brand new engine, which is the engine that is now being, all EA Sports titles are being built on.
Yep.
So there's living worlds, human intelligence, and true player motion. We're going to go through the last 2 in detail and show you stuff in the game, but just to talk on the living world, we're going to be talking about this a lot more in the months to come, but really bringing the stadium to life. For our fans out there, one of the biggest things we get asked is, when are the crowds going to look good? Well, now on Xbox One, they're fully 3D. They look fantastic. You're going to see them in a minute.
Nice.
It's all about bringing the world just on and also off the picks, bringing the crowds into the world. Also, we're rewriting our presentation system, so it's now AI driven, which is really exciting. No more canned sequences. And then finally, brand new gameplay camera, all new replays. So that's the living world. Lots more on that to come.
All right.
But now let's sort of focus in on the game. So I want to point out, this is running actually on an Xbox One. Everything you are seeing now is gameplay. It's just we've saved some replays. It's easier just to show it.
Sure.
So this is actual gameplay. So if we look at the first thing here, this is what we call Pro Instinct. So if we see it moving here, what we're now doing with our physics system, previously within physics, we only knew if I hit you when the actual a collision happened. Now we're actually projecting into the future, and the physics system gives the players full anticipation and awareness that makes them feel much more human. So what you're seeing here is, as the defender comes in, his leg actually comes in and the player's actually able to ride the tackle.
Yep.
So it looks fantastic, but it means in a situation like that before, the player would have stumbled and maybe fallen over. So they're acting much more like humans. So if we go to the next...
They have that sort of anticipation of, which, definitely one of the key skills, for a ball handler, to be able to anticipate when the defender's making that move.
Absolutely. Anticipation awareness, which we've never, ever had before, and we can only do through the power of Ignite. So this next clip is a really cool way that we're actually showing how we actually manipulate animation. So if you see the defender as he comes in here, you actually see his arm come up as he's bracing for impact, and we're actually manipulating that animation actually on the fly. So the player now knows the collision is coming, and he braces for that impact. If we go to the next clip, what you're going to see now is, this is where it really starts to become game-changing in gameplay. What you're going to see now is what we call a seal out. So we've kind of had this behavior previously, but we were doing it through sort of guesswork. But because our players now have the level of intelligence where they know where each other is, the defender can now come across and actually seal the player out, which means now you don't have to be completely reliant on the tackle button, right? So you're actually not having to just press tackle, you can use body position to get in the way, seal the player out. And that's, if you watch any big football game, Premier League, MLS, La Liga, players use body position to win back the ball. It's a much more reliable way than just ticking a foot in and you might not win it back.
Absolutely,
So.
and that, baking that into the player movement, I feel like that would just make it, make you feel all the more like those maneuvers you see in these leagues are viable in the game.
Absolutely. So if we go to the next one now, this is another huge thing that we can only do now with the power of the Ignite engine. We've always been limited through horsepower to only ever have 2 players contest the ball at any one time. So as we pause it here, you're actually going to see now there's actually 4 players trying to get that ball. Previously we could only do 2.
3 of them are doing a little better than the 1.
Exactly, but this is a classic situation, and this is where you get it in set pieces, in corners, in free kicks, where multiple players go up for the ball to try and challenge for the header, and we've never been able to do that until we had Ignite. So what better way to really showcase this, as this is really prominent anywhere in and around the box, is to completely rework how headers work within the game. So if we go to the next clip, we can start to show you that. So the cross is going to come in, and Xavi is actually going to make a great run into the box here, and then he's going to go up for the header. We're looking at where the ball's coming from, the speed of the cross, where the player is in context of the goal. There was an effort there from the defender. The defender actually, this is brand new behavior we've not had before. So Xavi goes up, you see all those new mechanics, his arm comes up, you've got that physical contact through the physics system that we have, and then he heads the ball, and he actually able to twist his body to get his body in position to head the ball. So the next animation that we can go to here shows all the new animations that we're now putting in, loads of new heading animations, and what this is doing is giving us what we call coverage to get headers in situations you've never had before. What you're going to see here is very likely in previous FIFAs that actually you wouldn't got a header here, because the angle of heading is about 145 degrees right there.
He's really got to extend himself out.
Yeah, and we never had that animation coverage. We didn't have the memory to put it in. So here you probably wouldn't have got a header, which feels frustrating. It becomes one of those frustration moments, and here he arches his body, gets body position to make a great header. So in the final example, we can now show you not just about animation variety, but also control. So here, Falcao's going to go up for a header. Previously in FIFA, what you would have probably seen is he would have gone power front post. But now, for the first time, we have finesse headers, which we've never had before. FIFA fans will all know all about finesse shooting. Here he's actually doing a glancing header. He would think he was going front post. He actually aimed left back post and just tapping on the button, and that's a glancing header to the back post, leaving the goalkeeper for dead.
I gotta say, Nick, I feel like in a lot of these demos, the excitement of scoring a goal, that's a wonderful, that's like a climax of a soccer situation. But the goalkeepers are always getting the shaft in these demos. They're always getting beat. Do you guys have you done it? Does any of this the new innovations extend to goalkeeping and goalkeeper coverage?
Yeah, I mean everything that we do, and this has been the same for years in FIFA, is as we add things in and new elements in, we change the goalkeeper so they can react to them. So, absolutely for us, it's about tuning and tweaking where the goalkeepers are, how they can react to new situations, and that's an ongoing process. I mean, what you're seeing here is about 65% polish.
Okay.
The game, we're really happy with how the game is looking, but there's a long way still to go.
Yep.
And this balancing and tuning is kind of the phase that we're in right now. Bringing all the elements are kind of there, but it's now bringing it together. This is the fun part where, kind of all the hard work comes together, and it's about fine tuning, and a goalkeeper's become a big part of that.
And you start to see just how all those systems come together to make it feel more rhythmic.
Absolutely, and that's kind of how you make a great game.
Now, before we move on a little bit, we've got a ton of questions coming in over Twitter, so I'm just going to take a quick look and see what you can answer on this rundown. People are curious about career mode. There's a lot of mention of scouting in the career mode and improvements there.
Yeah.
Any comment on that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, in career mode, we're always looking to improve it. We've talked on Xbox 360 and PS3 about some of our improvements this year around scouting. Just for now, we're just going to keep focusing in on the gameplay. But as I say, we've talked about some of these things previously on Xbox 360 and PS3.
All right. Padbot in the Twitch chat wondering, is there a new set of skills and tricks, sort of little moves that you can do to bypass defenders?
Every year we add new tricks, we add new skill moves. We know a lot of people out there love those kind of things within our game, and we'll always be looking to add some each and every year.
All right. Do we have more replays to move on to?
We've got quite some really cool stuff.
All right, let's check it out.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the next feature that we're talking about now is what we call elite technique. So if we fast forward a little bit here, what you're going to see here is some new animations that we've never had before. And what you're going to see here with Iniesta as he comes onto the ball is a little outside of the foot pass. So we've never had that kind of variety, but what's really exciting is here now, Neymar you can see coming into the screen. We've never had coverage or behavior where a player can will actually go 180 degrees of movement in one touch. We never had that behavior or that animation coverage to be able to do that. And now, as you can see, what this is doing is, one, it looks cool, but the most important thing is it maintains momentum and flow in the attack, which is great. And here, if we go to the next clip, is another great example of something that looks quite similar, but it's actually a new system. So this is reworking trapping. So we now, the players, you can see Xavi's calling for the ball. Messi will do a really nice outside of the foot touch, and Xavi will actually just hop over the ball. What he's doing there is realizing that the momentum on the ball and the speed on the ball means that actually if he doesn't take a touch, it's to his advantage. Whereas previously, he may have wanted to take a touch, he may have tried to take a touch, which would lose that momentum and flow of the attack. So again, the last two things you've seen, yes, they look cool, but they're changing flow and momentum within attack.
Now, are those Are those AI behaviors? So if you're, if you're controlling the player coming onto that ball, will that sort of read and factor into your movement?
Yeah, so these things really are contextual, which means depending on the situation, these things can happen, depending on the speed of the pass, where it's coming from, the angle at which the player is receiving the ball. So what you're going to see when you play the game on Xbox One is just this vast variety of things you've never seen before, this elite technique, as we call it, these extra skills and animation, not just in terms of visuals, but also in functionality and behavior that we've just never been able to put in our game before. So if we go into the next one, there's we show you some really nice examples of new some new passing animations. This one is a new lofted ball from one wing to the other. So this is switching play again. Previously in FIFA we only had 2 or 3 animations. Now huge variety. Little touch here from the player comes in, just a little touch pass. Now we start to see the momentum and the shift of weight as we go in the dribble and also on the defender as well. That's the new locomotion working there. A little side pass, just a little, outside of the foot pass. There's a player making a run here, and then this is a brand new lofted through ball coming in here, and this is where it gets exciting. So the next move you're going to see here is user controlled. This is right trigger, flicking the ball up off the chest. Previously a chest was just a trap. It would down to your feet. Now you can flick it up, and now you're in on goal. Something you've never ever been able to do before.
Nice.
So we're coming to the end here, and just the last 2 clips I just want to focus in on is around shooting. So we're completely reworking shooting with the game. We're just going to swap here to Iniesta. We're doing it in 2 ways. The first is changing the way players get to the ball. So players previously, if the ball's been in front of them or in their feet, we've actually snapped legs into position to get the player in the right position. Players will now actually change their stride, vary their stride to get in a good shot. And what you're seeing here now is the brand new ball physics, which is curling inside the post, is something we've never had before. So it's how they get onto the ball and then the physics of the ball. And then we'll just finish now with the best player in the world, Lionel Messi, and how he takes a shot with a great goal and just curling shot into the top corner. And the new physics, the new shooting, the new ball physics and shooting mechanics. To be honest, shooting in FIFA has never felt so good. It really hasn't. So, here we go, just as a good example, and the ball goes flying into the top corner, which is cool.
Now, when you say it's never felt so good, what, when you've got your hands on the controller, what's the feeling you're getting from that that sort of elevates it?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the shoot, there's 2 parts. Like as the players are shooting, they're changing their stride. You feel like they're now taking it in stride. If it's a rush shot, it's under their feet. You get that visual cue of a very, very different animation. And then the second and most rewarding thing really is just how the ball comes out. Previously in FIFA, it's been a pretty linear, kind of dull curve, really. Now the ball's coming out much more realistic. We get that swerving movement that now is so prevalent in the real game. So, I mean, you're seeing the game here. There's still a lot of work to do. There's still a lot of polishing, a lot of things to fix. But, the game on Xbox One feels incredibly different.
Very cool. Thank you for coming and showing it off on the Xbox One. We've got you for another minute or 2, and I just want to fire some questions at you, see what you can do for the folks here, because I think that this may be the most question-heavy demo. These people have so many things they want to know about. Okay, new leagues. Leagues are always a question. People have their teams all around the world. You guys have any announcements about leagues at this point?
Unfortunately not. That's something that we start to talk about much later in the year as these things start to get finalized. So I'm really sorry. I would answer it if I could, but right now I can't.
Hey, that's all right. We understand. All right. But people are curious about online multiplayer, and specifically from the Twitch chat, curious about online career mode, if that's something you guys have considered, and or just talk to us a little bit about online multiplayer. Yeah,
I mean, online, and again, what we do is with all the FIFA games is when we start talking about our game, and here we're obviously talking about the game on Xbox One, is we just focus in on gameplay. So later on in the year, and you're going to hear this a bit, we start to talk more about career mode and online. We understand online is an incredibly important part of our game. I'm sure you've got many, many questions on it right now, and we will answer all of them, as we get in the next few months.
Another very important part of your game, Ultimate Team.
Yes.
All right. Same deal.
Same deal. Sorry.
All right. No, hey, I gotta ask.
Absolutely.
All right. So I guess you're using this Ignite engine, and it sort of seems like it's just fueling a much more in-depth, broader, more specific scenario-based, contextual stuff.
Yeah.
Doesn't that just make it like a whole lot harder for you guys to do stuff? I mean, with all of these new capabilities. I
think, you know, when we're making the game, I think what we want is to have options and to have emergent behavior. Like we added the impact engine a few years ago, and what that did is it created this sort of limitless variety of options around the pitch because it was natural behavior. As we are developing our game, you know, the last few years, and as we now move forward, the more we can get the natural behavior in, the game starts to kind of play out as a real game, and that's what we're after.
Excellent.
Now with sort of the physics, now we're projecting into the future to see what's happening. Players now have full awareness and anticipation. Creates these incredible behaviors that they never had before. So, you know, I wouldn't say it's harder, it's just way more options, which for us as developers is so exciting.
That's pretty great. Nick Shannon, ladies and gentlemen, from Electronic Arts, talking FIFA 14. Nick, thank you so much for coming on, showing it off.
Thank you very much.
All right, so folks, we are going right now directly into Fantasia Music Evolved. So, Nick, why don't you hop up and we're gonna pull the live switcheroo right now. Have a great show. Cheers.